Howdy, folks. Welcome to another episode of The Inciting Incident. I'm still your host, Tim Shields. My guest today, and I say guests because obviously that's plural, are the co-founders of Amplify Impact Academy. First up, we have Billie, a transformation mindset coach known as the Brain Trainer. Billie was a former police officer who now helps people reprogram their unconscious mind to let go of limiting beliefs, who doesn't need that, and create the life they actually want. Through her work with NLP, timeline therapy, which I've never heard of, I want to get into that, and hypnotherapy, she's helped countless people step into their true potential. Joining me as well is Melissa Deally, a health transformation coach known as the friendly Toxin Slayer. After a 24-year corporate career, she completely reinvented her life to help others heal physically, mentally, and emotionally. She combines integrative health, detoxification, and unconscious mind work to help people thrive from the inside out. Together, they're helping people unlock their potential by working with the mind, body, and spirit. Welcome, both of you.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here, finally.
Yeah, this has been a long time coming.
Yeah.
You know, I'd like to start every podcast with one question, because a lot of younger people, if they listen, they have no idea what they're doing. And it just goes to show that you don't have to know at that age. So we'll just really quickly to both of you, who were you, where were you, and did you have any idea what you wanted to do when you were 17 years old?
You want to go first, Melissa?
Sure. So at 17 years old, I was living in Sydney, Australia. I had just finished high school, was embarking on a commerce degree at university there. And I knew that once I completed university, I was going to go and travel the world. I'd had the good fortune of being raised in Japan for 11 years. And I knew that I wanted to go back out and see the rest of the world. And I had no idea that I would be in the career that I'm in today. However, I chose commerce very consciously because I decided in good times and bad times, people and businesses need people who can count their money and do their accounting, etc. So I figured that was a good starting career choice because I literally had no other idea about who I was going to be. And so that's how I started out at age 17.
That's the journey of discovery. How about yourself?
Well, man, at 17 years old, I was a quiet, shy, very controlled, sheltered young little Indian girl. I grew up a very traditional East Indian family. Never in a million years would I thought I'd become a police officer. You know, I was literally at that age trained to become a wife and a mother. And that's all my goals were back then. And I did. And, you know, I went to school to be a teacher because, you know, that was a safe job and didn't really like teaching. And then I got into policing because deep down I wanted to serve. However, I know unconsciously it was because I wanted the power because I never had any growing up. So as I got into it and, you know, I've loved to serve, you know, gave me that confidence and I started coming out of my little quiet little shell, you know, checked all the boxes, went to school, got married, got a good job, had the kids. And then I was still like literally felt like I was dead inside. And then I met a hypnotherapist. My marriage crumbled. COVID happened. During that time, I started some health coaching just to get my mind off of how miserable I was. And then through that, I met a hypnotherapist and she gave me a session and I had no idea what she was doing. I just knew I felt differently. And I said, why do I feel so different? And she's like, well, we tapped into your unconscious mind. And literally back then, Tim, and this was like a few years ago, I'm like, what the hell does that mean? I don't even know what that means.
Wow.
And as I learned into it, because I have a very curious mind, I'm like, well, if that could happen in one session, what else is possible? And of course, I followed the breadcrumbs that the universe gave me because finally, when the student was ready, the teacher appears. And I found these 4 modalities that now Melissa and I actually teach through our academy. And if you had told me, Tim, that you're going to be teaching people about their unconscious mind, I would have said you should go get some help because I arrest bad guys for a living. I'm sorry. I don't do this woo-woo weirdo stuff that you're talking, witchy stuff. And now when someone calls me a witch, I'm like so complimented and I'm like, yes, I am. I have these powerful gifts and we all do. And now literally I'm serving people. Instead of dealing with their trauma, I'm helping them heal them. And I love that you said you're interested in timeline therapy because it's our mission to get this into every household name because you can heal trauma without talking about it. And that was like, when I heard that, I was like, sign me up. I'm in, because I don't want to go to therapy anymore. And I actually graduated from therapy after this work. My therapist is like, Billie, you're good. You don't need me anymore. You got all the skills. You got all your tools. You've healed what you needed to heal. And now you're just living your best life. And so it's now our mission to help others do this for themselves.
And where did you grow up?
Vancouver, BC.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, therapy is a circle. You're just kind of rehashing the problems and you're not actually moving forward. Great for the therapists and their second home, sure. But it's hard to get out of those thought loops.
Right. 100%. So they create codependency, and you're deepening that neurology, which we're like, no, we don't want to deepen that neurology. Whatever happened. It's just a matter of what lessons did you need to learn in those traumatic events that you couldn't in the time because your mind just wanted to keep you safe. And once you upload the learnings, it releases it. That's as simple as it is. And you can.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that's it.
And how did you two meet?
Through our trainers training. Yeah.
In July of 2023. So we had both taken slightly different avenues through our practitioner training and our master practitioner training. And then we met at our NLP trainers training and connected instantly. On day one, we were put in the same group and had an instant connection and felt like we were sisters from another mister. And since then, we've actually learned through having our Akashic records read that this is not our first time working together in this lifetime. And we've actually worked together in past lives. And in fact, the energy birthing of Amplify Impact Academy happened way back in 1442.
How about that? Well, I would say it's good that it's 2025, because if it was like the 1700s, you'd probably both be burned at the stake. So
we were doing this undercover for sure, empowering people at an undercover, level. We could not do this openly the way that we could do it now. So yes, you're absolutely right.
So then what is and how did Amplify Academy come into being?
Well, fun story. When we first met, literally it was, we really got along really well because we're very yin to the yang. And, we were in the same time zone. That was a big thing. We're like, do you want to just train together? Because, let's do it together. And after our first training, it was just so beautiful. And we kept getting all this feedback that you guys work really well together. And we just happened to hire a mentor. And we went there and then we came back and we got an up level. And we're like, do you want to just kind of maybe start a company together and really go all in? And it was literally a download, because this word amplify kept coming to me. Amplify. I'm like, we need to amplify people. And then of course, it's always about giving back and not just helping yourself, but helping others. So how can we help amplify impact in however you are meant to impact the world? Because everybody has gifts and, their wisdom that they are here to impart on humanity. And so we thought, let's just call it Amplify Impact, because it can apply to everything, whether you're here to impact your children as a parent or as a teacher or as a spouse in a relationship or as a coach or business coach, whether it's, divorce. We had a divorce coach, we had psychiatrists come through. Whatever that is, you're amplifying your impact in the world. And you can do that by first clearing your own, whatever things that are blocking you, your own limiting beliefs. And then you can help impact and help uplift others.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, and then we also have a greater impact in our Give Back, which is a nonprofit that I started back in early 2017, and Billie's joined me on the board, and that's Girls Matter. And we help keep girls in school in Uganda and Kenya, stopping teenage marriages and empowering them to better lives. And so 10% of all of our training revenues goes back to Girls Matter, which we love, because when people come through our academy, they're up-leveling themselves and they know they're helping up-level others around the world.
And how did that come into being? Tanzania and Uganda. Was it Tanzania and Uganda?
Kenya and Uganda.
Kenya, yeah.
So I've been a Girl Guide leader for the past 20 plus years. My daughters are adults now. Girl Guides in Canada, it's the same as Girl Scouts in the US. And back in 2013, I took a unit to go and see a documentary on International Day of the Woman called Girl Rising. And I watched that documentary, which was the story of 8 girls around the world fighting for the right for an education and being denied it simply because they were a girl. And I watched it with tears coming down my face because, as I mentioned earlier, I had the good fortune to be raised in Japan. I was in the international school system. I had a fabulous education with people from 86 plus countries around the world. And yet I'd still taken my education for granted. And I was sitting in a room with 20 young kids who were all taking their education for granted and complaining, do I have to go to school today, mommy? And faking illness to get out of going. And here were these other girls halfway around the world that were not being allowed to go simply because they were a girl, and that education wasn't free. So the parents would send them if they could afford it. They couldn't afford it, and they were choosing the boys over the girls, and food over education, obviously. And so I knew then that was my mission as I watched that. It was just a download. Education should be a right, not a privilege, and you can make a difference. I had no idea how that was going to happen. And I was still in the corporate world. And it wasn't until I got let go from that job and got into my entrepreneurial journey, and I went to a conference, and a speaker at that conference said, we are all put on this planet to never stop learning, to be of service, and to find your passion. And you don't have to know how, you don't have to know how, you just have to know your why. And I sat there and went, I know my why. And I realized in that moment, I'd never told it to another soul. And so none of the resources could be delivered to me from the universe to move it forward until I started speaking it out loud and taking action. And so I left that conference, called the only two people I knew that had started a nonprofit in British Columbia, and asked them to help me. And they said, yes, what do you want to do? And I told them, and they said, we'll just do it with you, because they had in Uganda a preschool already. So I was able to launch Girls Matter literally a month later, working in conjunction with their teaching staff who already knew all the girls in the village and could help us assess which girls really needed financial support for continuing their high school education. And since then, we've expanded into Kenya. And as we grow, we want to continue expanding because there is so much need.
Oh, yeah. And have you been over there yet, or?
I traveled over there back in 1990 before I ever moved to Whistler, where I am now. And I spent 2 months in a great big UN truck camping. And I traveled from Nairobi, Kenya, all the way down to Harare, Zimbabwe.
Wow.
And so I've seen it. And I haven't been over since starting Girls Matter, because at this point, all of the extra funding that I have available is going into supporting the girls' education. However, I do intend to go there, and we are looking to start a foundation and at some point be able to take this work we do at Amplify Impact Academy to the girls over in Africa as well.
Wow. When I was probably 30, 33 or something like that, I had a relationship and a job end in the same week. And she's like, I need time and space. So I disappeared for a couple days. And then, a couple days later, she reached out. She's like, what are you doing? Well, I just booked a one-way ticket to Tanzania. I'm going to volunteer at an orphanage. Bye. And then, of course, as the young dysfunctional love goes, she couldn't get enough of me. But it was such a powerful experience. And, I went to this place called the Rift Valley Children's Village. And the woman who started it was from Long Island. It's a whole long backstory. But I knew this was a very special place. And I was almost going to write her book. But then the big founder decided she wanted to write the book. So it never happened. But 10 years later, 60 Minutes discovered it. And they did a piece on it. And it was so profound to see how education can raise up an entire village and then ripple out into the entire community.
Yes.
And, it's a super prosperous place now, and the kids are getting college. It's crazy because some of the kids I met are probably out of college now, but that's really amazing. I'm happy to hear that people such as the both of you are doing really impact. You are amplifying the impact.
Yes.
How ironic.
You're walking the walk.
And to your point about how education creates change, it was in that Girl Rising documentary, the stat that hit me was that if India could educate just 1% more girls, they could grow their GDP by $5.5 billion. So therein lies the answer of bringing countries out of poverty. Educate the girls, because by the time they get into the workforce, the GDP of the country increases. It's not easy. It's a simple solution, and we can all come together to have this happen.
Yeah. I mean, transformation at that level is a bottom up thing.
Yes.
Governments just take their little money off the top and they go their happy little way and build houses. But it's really the ground level that builds communities. So Thank you on behalf of many people and them as well. So, I guess let me start with this. Each of you, what was your sort of inciting incident to leave your old life behind? One, the police force, the other, the corporate world.
Well, ever since I had kids, my son is now 10. and I was a cop for 20 years. So about the halfway mark, I really didn't want to do it anymore because there is an element of danger, right? And, there was obviously Canada is not anything like the States because we don't have gun violence like there is down there. However, there was still an element of danger. And I just, at the core of me, I know it was eating me away because I knew I wasn't making a difference because it felt like a revolving door, right? I felt like, okay, I just feel like this cat chasing my tail because they come in, they come out, and obviously it's a thankless job, and everyone hates the cops until they need them. And I'm like, there was something that just kept calling me that, Billie, there's a way that there's something else for you. There's something else that you need to be doing. I had no idea what that was. However, like as Melissa said, I never really spoke it out. And then I finally started saying out to the university, I really want. I don't want to be a cop anymore. I want to do something that's more impactful. And of course, then, I met this woman at the park and she introduced me to this business. And then that just kind of started the whole, the breadcrumbs that I began following that led me here. And really, I love policing. Obviously, it gave me so much confidence, and I can hold that space for people's trauma now because I've been dealing with people on their worst days for 20 years. So I don't say that, it was a waste of 20 years. It helped guide me here and build the resilience, the strength, the confidence, the compassion, the empathy, all those things that I need in order for me to now hold the space for our students that come through our program, because Melissa and I are very well known for creating this really safe container in our training programs, even through Zoom, so that can I swear?
You can say whatever the hell you want, whatever the F you want.
So that people's shit comes up.
Yeah.
Because we want your shit to come up because we want you to help move through it. Because that's what's blocking people from getting to their next level. And so that we want, through our programs, it's very experiential. And we say that you always got to start with self first, because there's this, one of our presuppositions, the spiritual codes, is perception is projection. So if I'm perceiving certain things in my life, in my neurology, I'm going to project that out into the world. And guess what? That's what I'm going to get. And so we can really create the world that we want. However, we got to leave the junk behind. And that is now what we love doing in these programs, because we have very experiential. We don't just teach, you go through it, you go through your own breakthroughs, you go through your own timeline therapy clinic. And so that now when you're done, not only have you cleared yourself, now you're able to serve your clients in a much better way because you're not projecting your own crap out onto the world.
Mm-hmm. How about yourself, Melissa?
So I, as you mentioned, was in the corporate world, and I absolutely loved my corporate career for 22 years of it. I actually worked for a hotel company, and I brought all the Asian tourists for all the 40 plus hotels across Canada to those hotels. And I traveled a lot and loved it. And then my boss was fired and a new boss came in. And unfortunately, she was the type of boss that liked to take everybody else's work as her own and push everybody else down and treat everybody else like we were her slaves. And so the last 2 years, I didn't really enjoy it. However, I'm stubborn and I had that longevity and I didn't want to quit. I wanted to be let go and have the payout. And I'd been around a lot longer than she had. Unfortunately, I didn't work in the same office. I worked halfway across the country. And so my sister recommended a book for me called The Mindset by Carol Dweck, which was really my saving grace at that time, because I started to understand that my previous boss had an open mindset and this new boss had a closed mindset. Anyway, looking back, I now know that that was the start of the universe going, okay, enough fun in this career, you need to move on. And I wasn't getting it. And so then along comes Big Fish, who purchases that hotel company. And all of a sudden, I'm out on my butt with an hour to clear out my desk, no word of thanks, and see you later. And while that hurt in the moment, I also saw it as, okay, this is an opportunity for me to do something completely different for the next half of my career. And I had no idea what that was going to be. However, I was open to being guided, and I knew that I wanted to work for myself and that it needed to be more of service to the planet and humanity. Because at this time, I'd already seen that Girl Rising documentary as well. Mm-hmm. And so I started following the breadcrumbs, and it literally led me into holistic wellness, which was never previously on my radar. However, I went through experiencing my oldest daughter having a really bad concussion during grade 12 as a result of a soccer game, and started helping her heal and going to her appointments because I wasn't working full time. And then my younger daughter, 2 months later, also got a concussion from grade 8 gym class. and two very different concussions. And I supported both of them through that healing journey. And because I'm in a small town and there's a lot of concussions with downhill skiing and downhill biking, people were organically reaching out to me when they had concussions in their families, going, oh, my son just got a concussion. What do I do? And after a very short amount of time, I was invited to work at a holistic clinic to help people heal from their concussions. And I wanted to do that. And I wasn't able to initially because I couldn't get insurance because I didn't have a certification. And so that led me down the path of going back to school. And I became a health coach. And from there, I became an integrative health practitioner. And then that led me into this work when I started realizing, how come some people can follow the wellness protocols that I've written for them and have great results, and then other people had the best of intentions and then couldn't follow through? And I thought, am I not a good coach? These people, I feel like I'm failing them. And then I learned about this work through a naturopathic doctor. And when she started talking to me about the programming of the unconscious mind, that was my aha. It has nothing to do with me. It's their programming. And I want to learn more about this, because if I can help people shift their programming, which is keeping them stuck and not allowing them to move forward in a way that they want to, because their inner 5-year-old is still running their life and not qualified to run their adult life, then I can have everybody be successful with their wellness protocols. And that's what got me into learning these 4 mind-body modalities that we now teach. And I fell so much in love with it that, yes, now I teach it in order to have the greatest impact. Because the more people we train, the more people out there offering this to the world.
Wow. Well, what I'm hearing is you are both deep listeners to your inner guidance system. Once you start moving in a direction, action, I said in my new work, you become like the boring machine that tunnels through, rock, and matter conforms to your will.
Yes.
And then you both shared an element of service and obviously curiosity. Was there an element of you went down this path because you were healing things within yourself?
Oh, absolutely. We hit the proverbial rock bottom, when my marriage ended, and then COVID to me was actually a blessing because my FOMO got to take a break and was like, okay, everybody's on pause. I'm not missing out on anything. And that was really that moment when I decided to go inwards. Because I was like, I checked all the boxes. Why do I still feel dead inside? And now that I know, because back then I didn't know that we had more than just a physical body. I didn't know we had an emotional and mental and spiritual body. And so spiritually, I was dead. Emotionally, I was a wreck. And then mentally, it was just like chaos. And so when I started really, just literally asking the universe, what am I doing wrong? This is when the answer started coming. And so then again, as long as you stay open and have that curiosity that, okay, well, maybe it could be different. Maybe this programming that I have to be married and I have to do this and I have to have a job and I have to work 40 years and wait for the pension and, the whole golden handcuffs, maybe there's something more. And as I started learning about healing myself, that's when I was like, oh, no wonder I'm the only one who's blocking me. I'm here on Victim Island. Is what we call it. We're on Victim Island. We're blaming the whole world. Well, it's because of this that I'm here. It's because of that. And, I have this joke. I used to invite the girlfriends over for margaritas and be like, come and listen to my sob story. I can't believe this happened to me. I'm such a good person. And wah. And then finally, when I started moving off there and getting over to where we now Solution City, we call at cause. This is where you're at power. And I was like, oh my God, I am the only one who's been blocking my success. I this whole time thought it was because of this. And it's this programming. Because remember, my programming was that you stay small, you're not independent, you're not supposed to be an entrepreneur, you're supposed to just, obey and listen and just mom. I had to reprogram that and say, no, I am powerful, I am confident, I am worthy, I am all these things that I didn't believe I was, so that now I could move forward. And now I'm like, I'm financially free. I work because I want to work. I don't have to, right? I have enough passive income now I'm a real estate investor as well, that now I work because I want to, and because this is service for me. So I'm no longer selling anything. I'm serving the world because now I've taken care of myself, gotten rid of my own, we call it, I just got out of my own way. And now the universe is here to serve, because that's how it's supposed to be. We always say, like, if it's hard, you're just doing it wrong. The universe makes things hard for you because it wants you to move, because that's
exactly.
the path. And so most of us, me included, used to be like, I'm just going to move this boulder and I'm going to hit up against this boulder. I'm going to die to be right. And yet now I've let that go. because we teach you can be happy, healthy, and wealthy, or you can be right. And I was the one that was dying to be right, and my life was like horrendous. And so now I'm like, everyone's doing the best they can with the resources they have. This is also another really deep thing that I believe now. And so I just keep moving and doing my thing and just holding the light up for others and say, hey, there is another way, right? There's a lot of darkness in the world. And like, if you can just hold up the light for someone, shift one piece in their neurology, you can literally shift the entire trajectory of their life, which is what that hypnotherapist did for me.
Wow. How about yourself, Melissa?
So I didn't go through my own personal healing before I started this work. It came afterwards. However, as I mentioned earlier, I got into this work as a result of helping my daughters heal on their healing journey, and really understanding that people needed more support on their healing journey, and learning that a stressed out body doesn't heal, et cetera, et cetera. And I got into functional medicine lab testing and, really helping people understand the imbalances, the toxins and the nutrient depletion in their bodies, so that we could bring the body back into balance, at which point it will heal itself, because that's what it's designed to do. And I struggle with the fact that our medical system is really a sick care system, and that our, friends at Big Pharma care more about shareholder profit than they do about human health. And our doctors aren't trained in nutrition. And there's so much opportunity here to guide people in their healing journey. And so I jumped in wholeheartedly and learned so much very quickly. And again, have realized I've done this in a past life, and therefore I wasn't learning it from scratch. I was remembering. And so it came back to me very easily. And then last January, the end of January last year, I was diagnosed with a metastatic malignant melanoma in my lower right leg. And the doctor booked an appointment with me with the oncologist, and I thought, it was an oncological surgeon. So I thought I was going down to have surgery that day in Vancouver. And lo and behold, when I got there, I found out I was just meeting with her in order to understand the protocol, and learned that she wanted me to go fill myself with some toxic blue stuff in order to light up my lymph nodes, so she could determine which ones needed to be removed, to then determine my chemo and radiation treatment. Well, I had enough knowledge at this point to know that I didn't want to go that path, and that I could heal myself using other tools that I've learned along the way. And I wanted to do it my way. And she didn't like that. However, I left saying, I will have surgery to have the mole removed. I'm not signing off to have any lymph nodes removed. And I'm going to go away and look at this, get second opinions, talk to other practitioners, etc. And through that journey, I was literally using my tools every step of the way. Because, of course, the moment I left and I have a 2-hour drive home, I get in my own head and I start thinking, do you really know more than that doctor that's gone to school for all of those years? Like, who are you to think you know better? And then I realized, boom, that's the fear. I don't want the fear. The fear will tank my immune system. How do I stay out of the fear? Well, take action. And I was driving through Squamish and my naturopathic doctor's there. So I stopped in and booked a high-dose vitamin C treatment, because I knew that vitamin C is very similar in chemical structure to sugar. And our cancer cells have 7 times the sugar receptors of a healthy cell. And they confuse vitamin C for sugar, so they attract it to them. And then the vitamin C kills the cancer cells and leaves the healthy cells intact. So I figured, I'll start with that. And then throughout the rest of this journey, I was working with other practitioners in order to understand the emotions that were attached to this cancer, because it's linked to a significant emotional event. And then I was able to use timeline therapy to release that stuff down emotion and release doubt in myself to do this my way. And in the end, I went through the whole process my way. I used hypnosis rather than anesthesia in the surgery. And a week later, I was back to living life fully, skiing, and through that experience in the least invasive way possible. And ever since, the doctors have said at the checkups, you've healed so quickly. We're amazed at how quickly you've healed. And in my mind, I'm like, yeah, because I wasn't full of all the toxins that you normally put into people, and you're comparing me to them. My body just needed to heal. It didn't need to also cope with all of that. So these tools that we share were so profound in me being able to navigate that journey in such a beautiful way, and stand here living life fully, and would do it again in a heartbeat.
Yeah. And also with the doctor, they're surprised because they're indoctrinated into this very small box.
Yes, exactly.
And, they don't know about the emotions. They don't know about the nutrition
Exactly.
and all of the holistic approach to treat the mind, body, and spirit, because they're not separate entities. They're one thing.
Exactly. And they look at every organ separately, let alone the separate entities. And that's why I jokingly call myself the friendly toxin slayer, because with this work, I always was helping people detox their physical body from when I got into holistic wellness. And now I help people through timeline therapy detox their emotional body, detox their mental body, i.e. get rid of those limiting decisions. And then when I talk about detoxing the spiritual body, what I really mean by that is bringing the spiritual body into alignment. Are you living the life of who you were truly meant to be? Or are you in that job that is sucking your soul, that is the golden handcuffs, and you're only there for the paycheck and for the health plan? And once we release the mental toxicity and the emotional toxicity, people gain a lot of clarity about who they were always meant to be. And that's where they now have the courage and the ability and the resources are coming to them that they can quit that job that they hate and go out and do what it is in life that they really want to do and get paid for it. Yeah. And that's the spiritual detox.
I mean, the programming and conditioning from our childhood and then those core wounds are so restrictive.
Yes.
And then every time we're like leveling up in life, we come up against them and we don't understand what's going on or why we can't get to where we are. And then to another one of your points, that whole, it creates so much noise in the mind, they can't listen within.
Right.
Which when you start to listen, you hear the calling.
Yes.
And I think people not listening to that and not following their calling is one of the biggest sources of depression and anxiety in society.
100%.
Yeah.
So we say in our work, we're helping you build rapport between your conscious and your unconscious mind. Right? This is just the 10%, your thinking mind. This is the 90%. So we want to get them working together so that once they're in alignment, now you have alignment with your higher self. Because your higher self has everything that you need in order for you to fulfill your mission, your purpose, whatever you're here to do in this lifetime. And that's when pure alignment actually happens. And now you're on your path. And when you're on your path, life flows, which is why the universe makes it hard and not fun. If you aren't on your path, it's meant that's designed that way. Right? Just like pain in the body is designed for you to pay attention. Oh, I need to pay attention because, I wasn't paying attention when I was up here spiritually. So I'm not paying attention to my emotional body or my mental body. Fine. You know what? The universe is like, I'll have to make you pay attention with your physical body. That's where disease comes in. That's where the chronic pain, the chronic illness comes in, because it's literally the universe way of saying, hey, can you maybe talk a little bit about up here? Can we address these bodies up here so that now we can get you back in alignment so you're living the path that you're meant to live on? Not the one that society told you should be, or your family told you should be, or, media, school, whatever it was, with these limiting beliefs that you got put in at those, prime 0 to 7 years when all you were was unconscious. You didn't have the critical faculty, the analogical thinking yet. And so, no fault of parents, they're doing the best they can too. That little, as you said, 5-year-old that, all of a sudden doesn't believe they're loved because their mom yelled at them for breaking something. Now, back in my deep programming, I'm always going to be seeking love. That's where the people pleasing comes in, right? Like I'm going to be loved for what I do, not who I am. I'm a recovering people pleaser, right? Because I was programmed that you're going to be, I'm being raised with conditional love. If you behave this way, you will be loved. If you do these things, you will be loved. If you talk this way, act this way, be this way, you will be loved. Not for
conditional love.
Absolutely. And that was something that I was fighting up against, not realizing it. Likely why, none of my relationships would last, because I wasn't coming at it from a place of real pure love. It was, I need something from you. You need something from me. And if we're not getting that from each other, then it's not love. And, everything is here to teach us. And part of what all these trials and tribulations that we go through is for us to now be able to learn from it and grow from it and then keep moving forward. Right?
Yeah. My gosh, I have so many questions and so many different directions I could go in, but I want to know about timeline therapy because I've never heard that before.
I mean, yes, we love it. Really? Okay. and one of our mentors, Dr. Adriana James, who is the wife of Dr. Tad James, who created timeline therapy, I asked her this. I said, if NLP and hypnotherapy had a baby, would it be timeline therapy? And she actually giggled. She's like, yeah, you could kind of say it that way, because it's a conscious, unconscious integration. What we are doing is literally traveling in the timeline. This could be more of a woo-woo spiritual talk, that there's gazillions of timelines happening at the same time. So we can literally travel back on our timeline, upload the learnings from that, whatever, root cause. This is a big piece of it. We're going to the root cause. That first time you felt anger, the first time you felt fear, sadness, hurt, guilt, rage, shame. And we're uploading the learnings. What did you need to learn? Could it be simply, I'm loved, I am safe, I am matter, I am worthy, those learnings. Once that happens, boom, it's like it's like a little pearl necklace. It just unravels all of it. And then we go to your top 33 limiting beliefs, which you mentioned, the core wounds. Unworthy, unlovable, not good enough, powerless, right? And every other limiting belief stems from one of those. Re-release those. Same concept. And then now we can, deal with the present. So that's why we bring neuro-linguistic programming, state management, obviously learning how to focus, because thoughts are important. Thoughts are creating our reality. How you keep focusing on what you want as opposed to what you don't want. And then the hypnotherapy we use for more future. Because again, it's like, suggestions I'm going to put in the unconscious mind. If the soil is not healthy, meaning, I have these limiting beliefs that I'm not worthy, it doesn't matter how much I tell you that you're worthy. Your unconscious mind is like, no, I don't believe that. And you won't actually integrate those and embody those suggestions, actually move in that direction. And so we use a very specific way of doing timeline therapy, dealing with the past, then with the present, and then the future. We work on the entire system. And we start at the past first, because we know once we can release that weight, now, okay, there's the chatter's quieter. That's a lot of people say that, oh, it's just quiet up here now. I'm not this back and forth chit chat that, are you good enough? Are you bad or not? Every time you want to make a goal. And then the present, any of the strategies that are running, we can shift those all at a neurological level. And then, obviously, hypnosis is all about at the unconscious level. And so this whole process only takes 10 to 12 hours, right? And that's the other really big program that we have to rewire, is that, if it's too fast or it's too quick or it's too easy, it doesn't work. And we're like, no, we literally have an easy button on my desk, because the amount of times we say, well, that was easy. We're like, yeah, the program is that it's hard. It should be hard. That's the program that was put in. And so we need to rewire this, that you doesn't have to. The unconscious mind works really, really fast. And so we don't have to take years and years and years of talk therapy in order to heal something from the past. We actually just need to release, upload the learnings, and it literally releases it. And then people wonder why, like, oh, I don't have pain anymore. I'm like, yeah, because your unconscious mind is like, okay, she got the learnings. I don't have to make her keep paying attention to this. So now we can keep moving forward.
And what I want to add to that as well, in regards to our system, is all of the reprogramming at the neurological level is happening in the unconscious mind, where it was initially programmed in that 0 to 7 time of our life, when we didn't even have the conscious mind yet, and everything was just being programmed, because we're sponges at that point, learning everything. It's all programming. And we reprogram it there because that's where the program is. People that are working with conscious coaches, they have the best of intentions. However, they don't have the powerful tools that we have. If you want to change a behavior with a conscious coach, you're using willpower, you're using tasking, and you're using accountability. And people can work really hard at it and have some success. And then the moment life happens, guess what? That old program strategy runs, and they fall off and they go back to the old behavior. And then they beat themselves up and they wonder what's wrong with them. Nothing's wrong with them. They were attempting to change a program in the conscious mind, and the program isn't there to be changed.
That's like me wanting to update my phone. Here, I do the update here and I expect it to go onto my laptop. It won't work. It needs to be in the actual system where the actual program came in. People don't realize that this is a computer, right? How many times do we do our monthly updates on our laptops and our computers and our phones? And except, this programming was from when you were 5 years old. And as Melissa said, our inner 5-year-old is not qualified to run our adult life. And we wonder why we can't move forward.
Yeah. So what is the Quantum Life Mastery School?
Exactly what we just described. So we teach you all those techniques, the timeline therapy, the NLP, the hypnotherapy, in a specific way to work that whole system. It is literally a recipe. And this is what I loved about it. Because again, this is not something that I went to school for years and years and years. It was very easy. And, we do it in a very short amount of time. The whole program is within 30 days, all spread out. And we're building
within 90 days.
90 days.
Quantum Life Health, basically.
90 days. And we're literally opening your neurology, expanding your consciousness, your awareness, and then adding a little bit more in, expanding, adding more in, expanding, so that your neurology can naturally open up. Because that's what really expanded consciousness is. It's just allowing our neurology to hold more information, because right now it's just here. And so we need to, it's kind of like we warming people up, because you don't want to just dive right in, because it can be a little bit more, it's more tough on the system when we just jump right in. So we created it over 90 days, and you at the end of 90 days, you become a master practitioner in timeline therapy, neurolinguistic programming, hypnotherapy, and as well as an master NLP results coach.
And what that allows at the master practitioner level is it allows you to guarantee your results to your client in writing, because we are working with behavioral change, and the client can no longer do the old behavior because we've rewired the neurology to have them doing new behaviors. And that's why it can be guaranteed in results and in writing. And there's, not any other coaching organizations out there other than those that go through these 4 modalities that can offer that guarantee to their clients.
And is this all online, or are there in person?
Yeah, another great thing out of Zoom was, the industry pivoted. And so we do all our trainings on Zoom live in Pacific time. So we have students from all over the world, and everything is done on Zoom. And we teach you how to do the techniques with your clients through Zoom. So we always say this is pandemic proof, it's recession proof. Everybody's looking for, increasing mental health, emotional health. Even AI can't replace what we do, because AI, and there's a big controversy around that, it's one of the most researched things on AI is they're looking for, therapists, except the AI will tell you what you want to hear, and that keeps you stuck, right? It'll tell you what you want to hear, as opposed to encourage you to keep moving out of that victim island and over here to Solution City. And so we'll never be replaced by AI either. And our mentors are really looking into that AI doesn't actually give you the correct answers when you ask them questions specifically about timeline therapy, NLP, and hypnotherapy. So yes, everything's on Zoom. You need a Zoom account and a laptop, and that's pretty much your overhead for this business as well, which is really nice. And you work from home or anywhere in the world.
Exactly. Yeah. So is there a transformation story that has stuck with either of you from the coaching or even your own life? But
my own life is one for sure. I never thought I'd be here. And I've worked with some clients and some of our students. We were talking about one, she's one of our greatest advocates, and she was already doing this work. And this just shows you that it doesn't matter where you are, whether you are brand new, like I was, you can completely change your life. This one student, she was already up in the quantum field. She was a quantum coach, and she was a business coach who was really killing it. And when she first learned about this program, she was like, you know what? It's not really for me, Billie. It's okay. And yet we did a trade. She does Akashic Records, as Melissa was alluding to earlier. And I was curious, right? I'm always curious. I'm like, sure, let's do that. She had a TEDx talk, and she's like, can you help me with my anxiety, or, I need nerves? I'm like, yeah, well, I have anxiety clearing exercise. We have this one technique where you can download resources from other masters. She wanted to download Steve Jobs because she wanted to be really impactful from the stage. Afterwards, she's like, Billie, I don't know what you did. I thought I was powerful, but I couldn't even find the anxiety. I was looking for it. And I got so many high ticket clients after that. Sign me up. And now this is all she does. She doesn't even do the old work that she used to do. She leads from this place doing a quantum breakthrough. And now she's one of our best advocates for bringing people into our school as well, because she has seen the power of it. Now she also knows that I was already working up here in the quantum capacity. And now she has up-leveled herself. So wherever you are in life, you will just up-level yourself at that capacity. And we have seen people quit their jobs. We have nurses coming through, quitting and, helping their clients. We just had a psychiatrist who are just done, right? They're done with the system, right? Just like me, I was done with the system. I was done with the golden handcuffs, that there's got to be more to this. So wherever you're at in life, you will up-level, whether you want to be a better parent. I'm a way better parent now because of it. We had a guy come through, just wanted to increase his golf game. He was retired. He's like, I just want the chatter to stop. And it worked. So it doesn't matter whether you want to be a practitioner. You will, no matter where you are in life, will up level, because again, you will up level your neurology to get you to your next level of evolution.
Yeah.
And another powerful story from a student was she's a business coach as well. And she knew through her whole life that she from the moment her baby sister came home from the hospital, there's two of them, that in that moment, her programming was, I'm not loved anymore because they love her. And she's carried that her whole life, and she was aware of it. And she's done so much work to release it because she knew that it wasn't serving her, and nothing has ever stuck. And then last week she was in our course and we took her through one of our techniques, and she's like, oh my God, it's finally gone. It's finally gone, and it's shifted everything about how I feel about my family. She spent her life running away from her family because the wiring and the neurology was still telling her they don't love me, so I'm going to leave.
Wow.
In one session last week, that all shifted for her, and she couldn't believe it. She was, I've been looking for this for my entire life.
And every student goes through that at some capacity through the programming, because something comes into their awareness that was out of their awareness. Right? We have a saying, if you can name it, the problem, that ain't it. It's always something deeper.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, it's not us versus them. It's us versus our mind.
100%.
Absolutely.
So we say, we're just teach you how to get out of your own way. That's all it is.
Who doesn't need that?
Yeah.
So, well, let me, where do I want to take this? Well, I guess for people who don't know what the Akashic Records, this is kind of a different track, but what is the Akashic Records?
It's basically your soul's library. Just what has your soul been doing since the beginning of time, right? Because it's not just this lifetime that our soul exists. And if people don't believe that, then that's okay. I know my own father doesn't believe that, and he thinks this is it and we're one and done and that's it. And that's fine. Everybody's on their journey. And that's the other piece of it, is everybody's they call it, they talk about old souls and young souls and medium souls. Everybody's on their journey, and we meet them where they're at. And so the Akashic Records, it was fun for us because, it allowed us to really understand, like, why has this come so easy for us? Like, we've only been doing this a couple of years, and people ask us, like, how can you teach an 8-day course straight without barely looking at your notes? I'm like, because it's wisdom that we have just unlocked. We just remembered that I already did this before. And it's almost like, I think of it like a video game. Like you're here, and it's like you're put on like level 1, and now you got to master this level. And once you master it, now you can get to the next level. And now you don't know what you're doing again. And then you got to master that level and keep going. And that is literally expanding, growing your soul and evolving your soul. And really that's what Akashic Records was. And it's just, again, one big thing for me was I was just living here in the 3D world, right? Because this is all I knew. I didn't know there was anything. I mean, I believed in source and I believed in a higher power. That's all I really, to the extent of it, was never really religious or anything. Except now I'm like, oh my gosh, I had this big, profound up level one day. And I was like, that's not the woo woo. This is the woo woo. The reality is actually up there, and it's just manifesting down here. So if we can learn to tap up into the higher realms, i.e., the quantum field, into our higher self, then we can shift life here where it's so dense, because it's easier to shift it up there.
Exactly.
When we talk about those higher bodies, that let's shift it up here because it'll just naturally manifest down here. So why are we, again, doing things the hard way, even doing it here? And this is exactly why we're so adamant of we have such a big mission to get timeline therapy to every household, because again, doing it in the 3D way, going to talk therapy and doing all these things, because that's what the programming says, is the hard way of doing things. And we want to expand people's minds. Like, well, what if you could just do one session and you could feel better and your whole life could shift, right? We encourage people to do this once a month, by the way, like the timeline therapy cleanup, because it's the lifestyle. It's not a crash diet. And we say, every month, come and do, like we created a membership called TLC membership, the light circle. So it's like a gym membership, but for your mind. How often do we go to the gym and we got to work our bodies and we got to, use it or lose it? Same concept. Use it or lose it. So let's have that gym membership up here too, and work our mind and clear all the stuff that's there. Because it's not just this lifetime. Because of the Akashic Records, we can clear stuff in past lifetimes. We can clear stuff that was passed down to us generationally. I know my family from India passed a lot of crap to me. And now that I have cleared it, guess what? Now my daughter doesn't have to take it. Now my son doesn't have to take it. And so we're not just clearing from the past timelines, we're clearing the future timelines as well. So it's super, super empowering work.
Yeah, you're breaking that generational trauma bond, which is just unprocessed energy moving through time. Well, moving through biology, I suppose you could say.
Mm-hmm. Timelines, yeah.
Yeah. So what is, what's one simple detox or daily practice you can recommend to people to start feeling better?
So one of the things that we always start every single client with, it's actually 2 tools that we have them use. The first one is holding up a stop sign every time you notice you have a negative thought. Because our thoughts determine our reality. So if we're going to focus on that negative thought, guess what? We get the negative reality. And if we can start to embody that and recognize, I don't have to ruminate on that negative thought. I can let it float on by. I can convert it into a positive thought that is going to support me now and move forward that way. And so initially, it takes a little bit of getting used to even the awareness of our negative thoughts. And so we encourage people, every time you notice it, put up the stop sign. As you start noticing it, you're going to notice more and more, and that stop sign is going to be going up a lot, and you're going to just let them float on by or convert it into a positive thought. And then as you do this over time, you're going to put the stop sign up less because you won't have as many negative thoughts because you're literally rewiring your brain to focus on the positive. And another really powerful way to enhance that reprogramming to focus on the positive is a gratitude journal. And to write 5 things every day that you're grateful for right before you go to bed. And acknowledge them, because then that's where you're putting your focus, and you start to rewire your programming, which is programmed to look for danger. Instead of looking for danger and having you live in fear, to look for the gratitude as you go through your day and go, oh, I can write that in my gratitude journal tonight and be grateful for it in the moment. And again, before you go to bed. And then all of a sudden you start seeing all of these things in life that you can be grateful for. And all of that negative that you were living in before just starts to drift away. And that is such a powerful tool. I started my gratitude journal 10 years ago now. And I remember at the end of that year, I was at a conference, actually the same conference where that speaker impacted me as well. And somebody at the lunch table, there was 10 of us around the table, said, I think we should all go around the table and everybody should say the one thing that you did this year that had a profound impact in your life. And I went, whoa, that's deep. And then boom, download your gratitude journal. I went, oh my God. And I literally told them all that I'd started writing a gratitude journal. And now I literally feel like I walk through life on air every single day because I am in gratitude for everything about my life. There's so much we can be grateful for. And, we don't have to look for the really great big things. It can be the little things. My husband made me dinner, or somebody opened the door for me at the grocery store so I could, leave with my bags in my hands. Just little things that you start to notice and pay attention to. And then the reason we suggest you do it right before bed is because your unconscious mind will work all night long on whatever you feed it right before you go to bed. So if you're feeding it the 11 o'clock news, which is full of drama and fear and all of that, your unconscious mind is going to think about that all night long and work on it. And you're going to have a restless, disruptive sleep. Whereas if you feed it gratitude before you go to bed, your nervous system calms and your unconscious mind gets to go to sleep thinking all of those happy thoughts, and you get a deeper, more restorative sleep. And if you wake up in the middle of the night and you can't get back to sleep, just think about your gratitude again. And guess what? You fall back to sleep.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying what Melissa's talking about there is a particular activation system, which we're literally programming the mind to look for things that are positive as opposed to the negative, right? And this is literally reprogramming. And so that we can focus on the positive, because the energy, it's about resonance, right? When you're in a positive mood, you're at a higher frequency. And as the law of attraction is, we always say, like, it's the law. You can't not believe in the law of attraction. It's like saying, I don't believe in the law of gravity. I'm like, well, you'll walk around getting hurt then if you do that. It literally is. So if you're staying up here in joy and happiness and gratitude, guess what? That frequency is going to come back into your life. And all of a sudden your life will be more positive and you'll have more things to be grateful for, because now that's what you're attracting as well.
Yeah. Dr. Joe Dispenza says gratitude is the ultimate state of receivership.
Yes.
Yep, we say that too. Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, we've taken his quote and we share it as well.
And my mom passed away in 2010, and I thought I was ready, and it just kind of swept the rug out from underneath me. And I saw this kind of energy woman healer, and she's like, okay, you're a writer. I want you to do 5 things every day. I want or I want you to do this exercise every day. I want you to write down 5 things you're grateful for. And then the other part is 5 things you want to create. And I was like, all right, I'll try anything. And I've been doing that since October 2010. And it actually, I did that right before I took off on this trip. I bought a one-way ticket to India and I wound up traveling for 15 months. And that sort of, and I went to find the story because I was always going home to see sick parents. And so I just started putting these intentions out there, and it actually created the whole story arc of the book. And every couple chapters, there's a gratitude and intention, journal. And I've had so many people read it and start doing it. And then they reach out and they're like, you're not going to believe what happened. I'm like, actually, I do.
Actually, I would believe it.
Yeah.
100%.
And then at another point, I had like moved back from Mexico, and I was like, had a broken heart, didn't know what I was doing. And my sister was like, you want to do this abundance exercise, for a month? I wound up doing it for like 80 days. All sorts of things happened. But I started on my little daily planner, just writing down things that were abundant that happened. So it's like it's just like training an animal. Yep. The mind is an animal. And you just have to train it.
It's neuroplastic, right?
And literally you get what you focus on. And so you were focusing on abundance. You were focusing on the gratitude, and you get more of it. And it is just so powerful how we can train our mind to get what we want. And unfortunately, this isn't taught through our school systems, etc. We wish it was. Everything we teach, none of it is rocket science. None of it is, life or death. Anybody can learn this, including kindergartners. And honestly, we would love to get this work and these tools into kindergarten classrooms, because imagine how much easier the teacher's job would be, not only in kindergarten, the ripple effect, because those kids go to grade 1 and it's all the way up. Now those teachers of those kids are like, wow, these kids can manage their state simply because we teach them one technique that we call the sun strategy. That if little Johnny's in the corner in kindergarten having a tantrum and the teacher goes over and says, hey, Johnny, you know what? I think you need to go do a sun strategy. Why don't you do that? And then come back and sit down when you're ready. And it's all imagination, and our kindergartners are in their imagination anyway. So Johnny can go off and do his sun strategy and come back and sit down.
And they love it, and it's easy for them. And we're also teaching them that emotions are not bad, right? My daughter is 8. She loves it. Like she helped facilitate this in one of our courses as well. And we're empowering them. And now my daughter will come to me, Mommy, I think I just need to go scream into a pillow. I'm like, great, go do that. Whereas before we're like, good girls don't cry, or big girls don't cry, and you pull your big girl panties on. And, I was always raised that, you're just a crybaby. It was a bad thing. And, I'm a very strong, empathic person. And now I understand why that I was always very emotional. And now my kids don't think of it as the same time. I was practicing my speech with them today. I'm winning an award this weekend. And I'm like, are you going to cry again? I'm like, yeah, probably, because it's close to my heart. It's not a bad thing. And they enjoy it because they're, it's emotions are here to teach us something. They are messengers, just like with anxiety, which is why we create our Clear the Screen campaign. That all anxiety is doing is telling you, Billie, can you stop thinking about what you don't want and maybe start thinking about what you do want? Because you're thinking about all the horror show, like we call it the horror show, right? You have the horror show up on the screen. Let's clear it, put up the love story, because it hasn't happened yet, right? Your anxiety is about worrying about something that happens in the future. So if we are going to imagine it as a horror show, guess what? You have a choice to imagine it as going well. So I teach this to my kids. If they're worried about something, I'm like, okay, well, how could it go right? And then they talk about how it can go right. And then all of a sudden it changes their state. And then of course, then their behavior shifts and everything else. And then guess what? The results obviously are better as well. So it's just about empowering people, right?
Yeah.
That's all it is.
I was just my brother's 12 years older than me, and I was just having a conversation with my nephew, who's about 27, and we were laughing about like 3 Christmases ago. My brother was, making fun of me. He's like, when you saw Bambi and you were like 4 years old and you were just crying like a baby, and everybody was kind of like, yeah, that's kind of, and then actually that created this imprint where, I had older parents. I call myself a martini baby. I had this fear of my parents dying, young my whole life. And it was just a program. It probably started with Bambi, which is like, what kind of psycho takes a kid to see Bambi where the mother dies? Like,
or Finding Nemo for this generation. I took my daughter to Finding Nemo, and Nemo's mother dies in the first 2 minutes of the movie. My daughter bursts into tears, and we leave the movie, and I've never seen Finding Nemo.
Oh my, yeah, wow, way to like scar children from a young age.
I had no idea that that was going to happen in the first 2 minutes of the movie. I just thought, it's a kid's movie.
I think I either have to watch that to like clear that Bambi trauma, or I just have to stay away from it to not relive it.
Or you just need some timeline therapy. And
That's
exactly.
True. It sounds like everybody needs timeline.
Yeah, everybody does. Like every single human has trauma, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
To some degree. And if we could just clear that, and then you don't even have to talk about it, you get the learnings. It's there. The trauma is showing up. And, we say we love triggers, right? Most of the world is like, nope, talk to the hand. I don't want to deal with it, and avoiding triggers. We love triggers because triggers are the sign that the unconscious mind has determined you are now ready to process and deal with this. So let's deal with it. And be like the bulls that run through the storm. The fastest way is just deal with it now. Timeline therapy. You don't even have to talk about it. Get the learnings, and then it's over with. As opposed to running away from it, which are the cows, and it just takes so much longer to heal.
Yeah, interesting.
We truly say if like a fraction of the world could go through timeline therapy one session, it would be a completely different world, because there's so much negative trauma and past unresolved emotions that is literally running people's lives right now. And that's why there is so much divide in things, because people are not seeing past their own trauma. It's too here.
Yeah. So, both of you work at the intersection of mind, body, and spirit. So what do you see the bigger potential is? What do you see the bigger picture is for human potential?
Oh, that's a big question.
It is a great question. And truly, it leads off the last one. If we could get timeline therapy out to enough of the population so that people know they have a choice. That's all. We're not forcing this down anyone's throat. However, they have a choice in their healing journey, and more people start using timeline therapy and realizing how painless it is, how quick and effective and lasting it is. It shifts the entire approach to mental health. And look at all the mental health issues that we have in the world today. It was bad before COVID, and then now it's just so much worse. And all people know right now is the programming is you go to the doctor who refers you to the therapist, and then somewhere in there you get written a prescription so that you don't feel it anymore. And that's literally masking it. The point of it being felt is, as I said earlier, it's the trigger to tell you you're ready to resolve it. And squashing that down and masking it keeps it in your body for even longer. And so, yes, that's our hope. That's our vision, is that we shift the approach to mental health, and we don't need to be relying on drugs. And so our Clear the Screen campaign, we have a YouTube channel under Amplify Impact Academy where we have demos, or we do this with people, and we continue to build on that. And in a 20-minute session, we can take someone who's never done any of this work, give them the foundation so that they can understand it, have them float on their timeline for their first experience, and then clear their anxiety, acute anxiety, and have that all done so their anxiety is now at a 0 by the end of that 20-minute session. And then now they have a tool that they can use for life, because we're not saying anxiety is never going to come back again. It's like they'll have another event, or they might even start thinking about it for that event. And the anxiety is coming up saying, knock, knock, stop thinking about that. Think about the love story. They can use the tool themselves to shift the focus and think about the outcome that they actually want. And as soon as they do that, the anxiety leaves their body again. How much more powerful is that for people than having to go through a medical system that is this referral, that referral, and then here's the prescription drug that you have to take for the rest of your life?
Yeah.
The good news is that I think there's a lot more people that are kind of sick of that system and are wanting something more. And one of the things that we teach in NLP is called the presuppositions, which we call the spiritual code. And part of doing this work is really building your compassion and empathy for humanity, because everybody is doing the best they can with the resources they have in that moment. The problem is many people are not very well resourced because of all these limiting beliefs and all this division and everything that's happening in the world. So a lot of people are just in survival mode. I was there myself. And now we want to move them out of that. And if you can really learn to embody that, you know what? I don't blame my parents for the way that they raised me, because they were doing the best they can, because they came from India, I was the first generation born in Canada. They didn't know any better. What they were doing was to protect me. And when that shifted in me, guess what? When I shift the energy in me, it shifted in them. And then that ripple effect changes the energy in the world. And the more we can bring that ripple effect into what we call the morphogenic field, now we can allow other people to maybe have a thought that they never thought. Oh, wow, that's beautiful. I didn't know you could, because, people that know my story, it was like, wow, you actually forgave your parents? I'm like, I did. And you know what? I have love and compassion for them because they did the best they could. And I've been through some really traumatic stuff in my life. And now when I see that with people, I have compassion for it. And as twisted as it sounds, now I have gratitude for it. And when you can get to that level that life is happening for you, even when you're in the shit of it, if you can say, you know what, life is uncomfortable right now. This means I am growing. Means my soul is ready to evolve to the next level. Now, great. I have these tools. I have timeline therapy. I have, the sun strategy. I have these empowerment tools that will keep me off victim island where, life is happening for me. Why is this happening? Over here to Solution City, where now, as Melissa says, you don your personal power suit and now nothing, like, I'll swear again, I call myself unfuckable with. Right? Nothing can fuck me over because I know I can manage it. And I know the universe has my back. And I know whatever is happening is for my good and for my highest self. And so how can I look at it from that perspective that this is here to serve me? And sometimes, I call Melissa, I'm like, I don't know what the hell the universe is trying to teach me right now. And I'm really having some struggles trying to figure that out. However, I'm going to keep going. And then that momentum keeps us moving forward. And then it's beautiful the way the universe provides then, right? When you're staying in your power, because the universe will test you too, right? Wants to know, like, okay, do you have a conditional commitment to your growth, or is it unconditional?
Exactly. Yeah.
Or are you like, no matter what, I'm going in this direction, right? Because I've tested many times.
So let me leave you with one last question. If you could each leave listeners with one truth or practice that changed your life, what would that be?
One practice for me is trusting that inner voice. If there is something that is telling you that you are made for more because you are, listen to it and trust it, even though you don't know how yet, and then go out and seek the skills that you need in order to truly embody that knowledge and that wisdom, because it's in you already.
Beautiful.
And I'm going to say exactly the same thing, because every time I follow my intuition, it is taking me to a place where I couldn't conceive of in my small 10% thinking mind. And therefore it's different to what I was expecting. However, when I remain open to that and trust in that guidance, what comes of it is always more powerful, a faster way to get me where I was meant to be going, such that I can look back with gratitude, as Billie was talking about. And so, when I got let go from that job, as I said, I loved my job. It was 24 years that I had given of my life serving in that role. And to be let go with an hour to clear out your desk and no word of thanks, it hurt. And yet I look back at that with so much gratitude now, because I was comfortable and I literally would have stayed. And that wasn't what I was supposed to be doing with my life. Yes, it was part of my learning to get me to where I'm at today. And yet the universe had to have that happen so that it would propel me forward on the path that I couldn't yet envision and get me to where I am today, where I know I am truly living my purpose, my mission, and I'm so joyful and in a place of passion of getting to do this work and getting to share it with the world and getting to work with my sister in mission every day.
Beautiful. I think that's a great note to end on. Thank you both so much for your time. Where can people find you?
Our website is amplifyimpactacademy.com. We have a YouTube channel. We have Instagram, we're like LinkedIn, Facebook, all the social medias. And unless anything else, am I missing?
You got it all.
Okay, we got it all. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Amplify Impact Academy.
Well, keep doing the good work. I'm gonna check out your YouTube channel and the timeline therapy and all that. Folks, thanks for listening. If you wouldn't mind sharing this, like, subscribe, do all that stuff. It's hard to beat the algorithm these days. So until next time, I'm Tim Shields. This is The Inciting Incident.